Hello and welcome to the Second Tier Podcast. I'm Ryan Dilks, and for once, I'm not joined by Justin Peach. No, he's not gone on a caffeine-induced binge fueled by his new £800 coffee machine, watching CrossFit compilations on YouTube and eating bowl after bowl of tofu. Not as far as I'm aware, anyway. No, today we're looking ahead to the playoff final and getting the views of those nervous fans who have teams involved in said final. And today, we're getting the Leeds United perspective. And to give us that perspective for us is Joe Wayman from the Just Joe football show on YouTube. Hello there, Joe.
Hi, Ryan. Hi, how are you? I was expecting some sort of I wanted the intro, I don't know, what were you saying? The Neil Warnock to my Kevin Blackwell. I wanted something like that, but no, I'm good. I'm good, Ryan. How are you?
I'm superb, thank you. I only reserve that for when I want to, throw shade at Justin at every opportunity. Thank you for joining us, Joe. Do you think £800 is too much for a coffee machine?
Yes, definitely so. Although I got mine free through uni days, I think, so I can't really comment. But that's far too much. Yeah, it is, mate, for sure.
It is. It is extortionate, isn't it? Only a fool would pay that much for a coffee machine. Welcome to the number one championship podcast, the Second Tier. Thank you for joining us wherever you are. Just before we dive into the deep end with Joe, a reminder of our live show where we'll be previewing the playoff final. It's taking place tomorrow in London. We're at the Horny Man at Hayes, which is about halfway between London Bridge and Tower Bridge. You can expect hot takes, hot debate, and possibly a surprise or two as well. You'll get a t-shirt to mark the occasion, and SBK will be giving out free bets as well. Tickets are only a £5, so why wouldn't you? Doors open at 7 p.m. rather. Come along, it'll be a great laugh. Right, Joe, let's look ahead to Sunday, the playoff final, the richest game in football, the game to end all games, the game that makes the world stand still. I think I've given it enough billing at this point. The question is, Joe, how's the nerves?
I'm absolutely bricking it, Ryan, as you would imagine. Not least because it's Southampton as well. I think I'd have been more confident had it have been the Baggies, but the fact that Southampton have beaten us twice, the only team to do the double over us in regulation season, has me worried. And naturally, I think any opponent, I'd be nervous, but it's even ramped up further because it is Southampton.
Is that the main reason why, then? Because they've beaten you twice this season. The only team to do the double in the Championship, aren't they? Yeah,
and look quite comfortable doing it, if I do say so, on both occasions. I just feel that we lost that midfield battle. I look at Will Smallbone, who scored a similar goal again against West Brom, and just see him like, it's almost like he's got an invisible force field, how he can get from halfway line into the box with no one near him and then just find the back of the net. So he worries me. Flynn Downs worries me. Joe Rebo's good in there. So I think I'm really interested to see what Farke does. Does he go for free midfield like he did away at Carrow Road, or does he go for it like he did at Elm Road with the 4-2-3-1? So, because I'm so concerned about Southampton and their midfield that I'm almost like, do we play against them as opposed to trying to impose our own game? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does make sense. It's fascinating to hear these, tactical questions that are coming up in Leeds fans' minds ahead of this massive game. But we'll talk a bit more about the game later on. Let's look back at this season, first of all. I think it's fair to say it's been a bit of a roller coaster, but would we really expect any different with Leeds United? Are you disappointed to have not been automatically promoted, Joe, in hindsight?
Yeah, in hindsight for sure, because it was in our hands after the international break. Really, I will forever bemoan that March international break. It should be quashed anyway. I know our Wales lads actually had a competitive game, but the rest of them didn't. But that's what derailed us. Because prior to that, we were just knocking teams out of the park. And I think the fact that Leicester dropped as many points as they did. Ipswich, as amazing as they were, we should really, on paper, be doing better than them. So, yeah, it's disappointing, but look, we had a terrible start, got off to a really poor start. They flew out of the traps. I think we did well enough to, I guess, even bring it to a point where we could have gone up. So, yeah, look, I'm disappointed we didn't get top two, but we're still in it. We're in the playoff final, and I genuinely mean this, and I think most fans would. I would rather take going up at Wembley in the playoffs over even winning the league, just because the emotion you get is just, it's crazy, man.
Yeah, well, it's the best way to get promoted, isn't it?
Yeah.
I saw a lot of criticism of Daniel Farke from Leeds fans after, Automatics was made official that you weren't going to get there anymore. I saw many people saying he's failed as Leeds manager. Do you think he failed, or... Well, I mean, I suppose all will be forgiven if you manage to get there on Sunday. But do you think he failed in not getting Leeds in the top 2?
No, not at all, Ryan. I also had to see them comments and totally battered them away on my channel. I thought it was wild to think that it's deemed a failure. I still stand by that point. If we don't go up, people will be watching this and will disagree with me. The object was promotion, and anything else less is a failure. I disagree because, no other teams finished third with 90 points and not gone up. You know what I mean? Like every season, you might have the 90 points. I guess the anomaly this time is where the anomaly, right? The team in third has got 90 points and not been in the top 2. So you can't really ask for more than what he gave us, especially when you consider the summer we had. Leicester were pretty settled. Ipswich were definitely settled, still riding the crest of the wave. We had so much upheaval. I mean, Sinistera was playing for us up until, the 31st of Jan. And then we had Willie Gnonto, who refused to play and was training on his own. And then you consider the second half of the season he had. You have to praise Farke for that. I think, look, and any normal season would have been fine. And I will say this now, Ryan, I think whoever doesn't go up, provided they do keep Martin, and I know we'll keep Farke, they win the league next season. I know that might be too early to say, but I do believe that because I don't think the team's coming down. But that's for another day. But, Farke's done an amazing job, and it's not a failure. And if we don't go up, he still gets my backing to take us up automatic next year.
That's interesting. Particularly interesting what you were saying about whoever fails to win in the playoff final on Sunday will still win the league. Because that brings me nicely on to the next question, which is, what's at stake for Leeds here? Because there have been reports from the past week that Leeds will need to raise at least £100 million from player sales this summer, which I can't imagine is particularly encouraging ahead of next season.
No. I think what we have to factor in, obviously, you're going to get Somerville goes, Willie Gnonto goes. That's a given. I think... unfortunately, we all have to be like accountants these days, right? But from an FFP perspective, them two are just pure profit. I think we paid 1.5 million for Somerville, about 5 million for Gnonto. I think Meslier could potentially leave. There's reports Bamford could exit, but then you also have to factor in all the loanees that we still have on the books. Jack Harrison is still a Leeds United player. Could someone pay for him? I would imagine. So Max Vober is wanted by Werder Bremen. We want 15 million. I do think it was sensationalised a little bit, that story. It's it's obvious that we will lose players. The mad thing is, and Leeds fans don't agree with me here, Ryan, but I actually think if we didn't go up, and we did lose a few key individuals, your Gnontos, your Somervilles, I actually think the squad will have more depth to it and more quality in depth than it did do this season. We just won't have them great individuals within the squad.
Yeah. I think that's a really good point, actually, what you were saying there, because obviously it's easy to forget Leeds have essentially a whole squad out on loan right now, don't they? So if you sell a load of those players, then you won't be too far off 100 million. And look, Crescencio Somerville's probably going to go. Gnonto, as you say, will probably go as well. Yeah. So there's going to be some sacrifices being made. Maybe Archie Gray as well.
I hope not. Let's hope not,
well,
right?
Let's hope not.
He's not the guy.
No, hopefully he does stay. I think even as just a championship neutral, we all want to see him continue his develop in the championship. Yeah,
I think the thing with Archie, which we have on our side, obviously, is the fact that he's a Grey, the fact that he's ingrained at the football club. I don't know if you're aware as well, Ryan. He's got a younger brother called Harry who plays.
I did see this. It's like the Bellinghams all over again, isn't it?
Oh, it's crazy. But he's arguing. Well, we're told anyway. He may be even better than Archie.
Oh, come on! It's just cheating at this point.
I think Archie actually said in an interview as well, way back when, that he wanted to play with his brother. in the first team. So I'm just hoping that, I think his brother's, 15, 16? At least wait until Harry's in the first team, then you can leave. Do you know what I mean? We'll see.
Get them both playing in the old white, and that's something we want to see. What position does Harry play in?
He's a striker. He's a striker, which is really exciting. So Haaland 2.0.
Yeah, could have the Greys, one as kind of a supporting striker, the other one up top, and God, it'll be awful. Well, let's take a positive spin on the playoff final, Joe. If Leeds do go up, how do you think you'll do back in the Premier League? Do you think you'll stay up?
Yes, I do. With the 49ers backing, we're grateful to Radrizzani for bringing us Bielsa and getting us back into the Premier League. But, it was all done on a whim. It was all done on, buy now, pay later. As we've seen, we're still playing for transfers. We had the Jean-Kevin Augustin deal situation. It was very much all on the credit card kind of vibe with Radrizzani. But I think with the 49ers, we have the investment arm. They've already shown with the San Francisco 49ers how well they've done. I put it similar to like a Liverpool in the Fenway Sports Group. It's that kind of model where you get loads of different investors, and I just think they'll be very smart. I think we'll actually be surprised at how. I think maybe the last group were very sentimental, and I'm okay with that because I'm that type of fan. I'm a passion merchant. I love me Liam Coopers. I love me Bamfords, me Aylins. But sometimes, the people at the top need to not have that and go, no, this player needs to move on now. I think there'll be a lot more ruthless. There's a lot of talk of there being quite a big churn in the summer, regardless of what division we're in. And I just think with their financial might, we're going to be well. Here's the real fun thing for me. We had to deal with, when we didn't get automatics, we had to deal with Jackson at Ipswich singing on the bus, Leeds are falling apart again. Barely played a minute. I think he's already been told he's not going to be a Premier League player. We had to deal with Leicester fans singing, I predict a riot. But if we do go up, out of the three teams, we'll finish the highest. And that's when we can claim our receipts. Yeah, very bold, Ryan, I know. But that's when we will claim our receipts.
Hey, I like it. It's fighting talk. That's what I like to hear on this show. Joe, let's have a look ahead to the final itself then. What's Leeds' biggest weakness? What is the one thing that worries you the most ahead of Sunday?
It's the midfield. It is the midfield. And I rate our midfield. I just think I'm looking at what Southampton will bring and how good Flynn Downs looks in the Championship, how great Will Smallbone has been in terms of just getting end-to-end and just popping up at the right moment. Aribo's a good player. So I do worry about that. I have to try and contextualise it because both games against Southampton, when we got beat at their place, we had Jamie Shackleton, Liam Cooper at the back. The last game at the end of the season, Daniel Farker went for it, and it was a lot more open, which won't be the case on Sunday. But I am worried about what their midfield and if we'll have enough bodies in there, especially when you consider that Kyle Walker-Peters can invert, and sometimes they've got a four in there. With Downs, Aribo, Smallbone and Walker-Peters. Obviously, Adam Armstrong, he needs one chance, and he finds the back of the net. But what I will say, Ryan, if the Leeds United that played Norwich at Ellen Road turns up, then we can take on any team on our day. It's just whether or not we do that. But yeah, I'm worried about their midfield. I think we can get them at the back, but their midfield is the main worry for me.
Do you think if moving Ethan Ampadu back into midfield and, I don't know, Liam Cooper slotting in at centre-back, do you think that would improve things if that's your big concern?
So I suggested that ahead of Norwich, just because I said we needed to get him back in midfield, and obviously we perfectly played that tie. I was a little bit sceptical of Daniel Farker and his tactical nous going into them two games. I actually felt that Wagner, getting through to the final and not scoring a goal for Huddersfield, would be better equipped. And actually Farker he's not in a job anymore, is he, Wagner? And that tells you all you need to know, and Farker's on to the final. So I'm quietly confident Farker might come up with something. Having been beaten twice in regulation season by Martin, I don't even think it's the personnel, although I was saying let's get Ampadu in midfield and Cooper back in, just to give us a better presence in midfield. Farke didn't need to do that. He just changed it tactically. And that's what won us. We get the 0-0, we go to Welland Road, he switches it back, which keeps Wagner guessing, and we just demolished them within, the first 10 minutes. We were always going to win that game. And I'm hoping he comes up with something similar. I don't think he'll actually change personnel. I don't think he can. I don't think he'll change formation. So let's just hope that he's got something up his sleeve. Because I think, didn't Russell Martin change to the 3-5-2 for the first time when he came to Welland Road? Was that the first time he'd done that?
Oh, I wouldn't be able to tell you off the top of my head. But they've played with a 4 at the back pretty much all season. So whether it was the first time or not, I'm not sure. But he's someone who does like to stick very much to kind of the 4-3-3. It's pretty much synonymous with how Russell Martin wants to play, definitely. Yeah. Well, let's look at the flip side then. What do you think is Leeds' biggest strength in this game?
It's that front four. It's that front four. It's Rutter, it's Somerville, it's Nonto, and Pirro. I wouldn't have said that prior to Norwich at home. It might have taken him 48 games, but he's finally a number 9, or has at least been doing number 9 things. But yeah, it's our individuals in that in the final reaches of the pitch, Ryan, for sure. They're just too good for this league, especially Nonto and Somerville. Rutter as well, actually. Sorry, I do him a disservice. He just can't finish his dinner at times. If he could do that, he definitely wouldn't be at Leeds. My God. But yeah, look, they'd sort of seemed like they were on a downward trajectory, and then that Norwich home game, every player, but specifically Rutter even, was just back to his best. So I'm hoping they can carry that, because I think it's the best front four in the league, would you say, Ryan, on its day? I don't think there's many that can talk to it.
I would definitely say that. Even though I don't think Leeds finished as top scorers in the division this season, no. You've got to say it is. I mean, Somerville speaks for himself, doesn't he? Yeah. Nonto, when he's actually been playing, is just too good for the Championship. Yeah. I mean, Rutter's, I completely agree with everything you said. He's had the best season a striker can possibly have while only scoring 6 goals. Do you know what I mean? He is an unbelievable chance creator, dribbler, attacker. And then the only other issue is, Joel Pirro's been a bit hit and miss at times this season, hasn't he? Yeah. So, but you can't really disagree. I think anyone who says that's not the best front four in the division is probably very biased, because it is very difficult to argue against that. But here's the big question for you, Joe. Who would you say is the key man for Leeds? I mean, you've just mentioned plenty of players there. Somerville was the second-tier player of the season. Joe Rodon was included in our team of the season. Of course, Archie Gray's had a lot of coverage on this podcast over the past year. Yeah. But if you could pick out one player, who is going to be key for Leeds on Sunday?
I'm going to go a bit... Because like you said, Somerville speaks for himself. It's going to be Rutter. Because Rutter's going to play in that 10, and like you mentioned, Ryan, it's that chance creation. Chances may be at a premium, and sometimes if he's off it, like we just can play left to right, no vertical passes, and just look a little bit ordinary, like we did tend to do against teams that have played a low block, and it takes a moment of magic from him. So I think he has to be key, because sometimes he can pick it up on the halfway line, nutmeg someone, turn, and he's away, 1-2 passes. So I'm going to say Rutter, because I think it's too easy to go for Somerville. So I'm going to say Rutter. If he's on his game, he can create a chance out of nothing. And chances may be at a premium. So it's on him to create that moment of magic for us.
And what's been said a lot recently about Rutter from Leeds fans is that he's not been the same player since this hernia operation, has he? But against Norwich, he certainly looked back on it, didn't he? That is the Jorginho Rutter we absolutely know and love. It's just about whether that bloody hernia starts playing up on Sunday. Hopefully not. Looking at Southampton, if you had to pick out a player who you feared from them, who would that be?
It's Smallwood.
Is it?
I've enjoyed watching him this season. Obviously, he scored against us, and then I watched the game at the St Mary's Stadium, and he just did it again. He just popped up in almost an identical position with which he scored against Leeds, but absolutely rocketed in the back of the net. Obviously, Flynn Downs I really, really like as well. And Armstrong, he's found the back of the net. But I'm going to say Will Smallbone, because as I say, against Leeds United, and Kamara and Gruyev have been guilty of this, of just letting men ghost past them and not tracking the runners, and then they just pop up in the box and find the back of the net, and he's the perfect player. We've got history that shows us this season he's great at doing that. So stop Will Smallbone, stop Flynn Downs getting on the ball, and I think we win. It's just, can we do that?
Interesting. It's particularly fascinating because Southampton fans will tell you they haven't been completely enamoured by Will Smallbone this season, but I think he's a really underrated player. We saw how good he can be in that game against West Brom in the semi-finals. But I think he's someone who's just really intelligent and knows how to fit into this Russell Martin system and make it effective.
100%. And I think Flynn Downs as well. I think their win percentage with and without him is crazy, isn't it? I think it's like 60. It's almost like Calvin when he was at Leeds with Bielsa, if you remember.
It's like Rodri at City.
Yeah, exactly. So he's key as well, clearly.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, with your concerns about the midfield heading into Sunday, those are two players who, the likes of Kamara, Gruev, whoever plays in midfield, they're going to have to do a job on them, aren't they?
Yeah.
Right, Joe. One final question for you. It's a big one. How do you think it'll go on Sunday? What's your score prediction, mate?
The first goal's so big. I genuinely don't know how it's going to go. I can't deal with extra time and penalties. I just can't. Like this season's been tiring enough as it is. I'm like, just end it. Tell me what my fate is and let's move on. So let's say Leeds United do it in normal time. 1-0. 1-0. I think it'll be tight. And first goal could win it. But I'm going to go Leeds to get that 1-0.
Yeah, well, 1-0 is the most common scoreline, I think, in the playoffs, in the playoff final anyway. So that would make sense. I think the first goal is going to be really interesting because otherwise it's just going to get really nervy, isn't it? But I tell you what, I am going to be there on Sunday, and I am very much looking forward to being able to sit in the press box and watch one half of Wembley sing Marching On Together, because I think it's going to be absolutely magical to watch from a neutral position. Have Leeds been to Wembley before?
Yeah. When was the last time, or would it have been?
Because it's not been in the Championship. Was it the League
One?
It
was League One Doncaster. Yeah, we lost to Doncaster Rovers 1-0 in the League One playoff final. Yeah, so
is that the only time?
Yeah, because before that it had been 3-0 to Watford, which would have been the Cardiff Stadium, I believe.
Yeah, Millennium Stadium.
Stadium.
That seems mad that Leeds have only been to the new Wembley once, and it was that must be about 15 years ago now, mustn't it?
Yeah, so it's a long time ago. Yeah, I think just our record in the playoffs. I think it was the first time we'd won at Ellen Road since the 80s in a playoff game.
Yeah.
The last time was Derby, of course.
Yeah, well, don't remember it. Actually, one final question, Joe. I know I said that the score prediction was your final question, but I've got to ask you about Leeds' playoff records. Does that worry you at all ahead of Sunday?
Yeah, of course, naturally. I was worried ahead of Norwich, I'm very much, as you'll have told, with predictions and stuff. I just go for it, but I'm still nervous. I'm still nervous because it's the playoffs and it's Leeds United. I say a speculative 1-0. I've made predictions for next season if we're in the Premier League, for next season if we're in the Championship, but just these play. I've sort of kept my powder dry a little bit just due to the historical connotations of Leeds in the playoffs, but. Sunderland did it not too long ago, and their playoff record was shocking for a while, weren't it? So why can't we? Look, Daniel Farke has arrested a lot of demons. We went to London. We never do well in London. We batter Millwall, 3-0. He's arrested a lot of this. He's broke a lot of records. For Leeds United to comfortably beat Norwich over 2 legs, let's do it. But I'm bricking it, mate.
If there is one omen that's gone in your way over the past week, it's that in the League One and League Two playoff finals, the team who's won failed to beat the other team in the final in both games in the normal league this season. And of course, as we were saying, Southampton have done their league double over Leeds this season. Yeah. So that is one omen going in Leeds' favour this weekend. Joe, it's been a pleasure chatting to you, mate. Thank you for taking the time to have a chat with us. I assume you go to the game on Sunday?
No, I'm working it, mate. I'm working it. I know. Yeah, this content creation is a full-time job for me now. So I'm working it, mate. Imagine that. But yeah,
I'm not sure if that's better for your health or worse.
Yeah, exactly. I know. But those Leeds fans that'll go will make it an amazing atmosphere, no doubt. I just hope they leave London with the Premier League. With being in the Premier League. Sorry. So yeah.
Yeah, we shall see. We shall see. But Joe, thank you for your time today, mate.
Thanks, mate.
This has been the Second Tier Podcast. I've been Ryan Dilks. We'll be back again tomorrow with a Southampton fan preview.